Okay, so hi everyone. Thanks for attending the first iteration of CyberSoc Spotlight. So this is essentially a scheme which welcomes on a monthly basis 3 to 5 speakers from industry, academia, and the student body. We should have a few more attendees joining us a little bit later as well. But the meeting is being recorded because we do appreciate that this week is quite heavy on the deadlines and things. So it will be available to rewatch a little bit later. But the real focus of this session is to just try and get information across from our speakers here, and then also give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have about the opportunities and information that's being sort of offered to you. So who have we got with us today? We have Alan from the BRIM Centre. Alan will tell you all about BRIM and what it's seeking to do in terms of helping SMEs and other organisations with their cybersecurity. We'll have Crowdstrike as well. So we've got Amy from Crowdstrike who will give a great talk on that organisation. And then towards the end, we'll have a talk from Kyle, our VP for Cloud, on Shodan and sort of public webcams. So without further ado, I'll just hand straight over to Alan. Alan is just going to sort of speak to yourselves, just sort of say, all about BRIM and the opportunities that are there. A little bit later, Amy does have some slides that we'll then switch over to. So Alan, if you would just like to start, that would be great.
Thank you, and just like to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to what I hope to share in the next 20 minutes. I work for an organisation called BRIM, Business Resilience International Management. It doesn't really mean anything, and in the context of what I'm going to share is basically the people that pay my check. We're a very small organisation, we're a consulting firm, and how do we fit into what I'm going to share, and how do we fit into the cyber resilience centres? Last year we were awarded a contract by Home Office to deliver a cyber resilience initiative on behalf of national policing. And so that encompasses England and Wales. And I wasn't involved in the outset. If I can just quickly kind of touch on my background, I didn't go to university. My background's technical. I'm self-taught, but I started out life working on the critical national infrastructure for GCHQ, and then moved into private sector and ran a private sector cybersecurity firm. And I had offices in the US and UK. And we did all the kind of usual stuff, delivering cybersecurity advice into private sector and public sector. And we mainly focused on protecting high net worth and high profile individuals online. So there was a bit of a niche there. And then back in September, after running that business for 15 years, I got the opportunity to be part of this. And I seen the value in this was so great for what it could do to those that are going through education. And when they come out the other side from education, what do they do next? And when this initiative was explained to me, I was absolutely on board. And I left the organisation that I had founded and had ran for 15 years so that I could be part of this. So what is this? What is so great that got me to move on? We are a very small consulting firm, and our role in all of this is to set up cyber resilience centres in 10 locations throughout England and Wales. And those cyber resilience centres are run by police. So it's seconded police officers, senior police officers who have cyber backgrounds. And the role of each of these centres is to provide impartial cyber advice into businesses within the region across all sizes. There's a lot of focus on micro businesses and the S and SME, but it's businesses across all sizes. And the locations are based on policing's regional organised crime units. So national policing already have organised crime units throughout the UK, and the locations of these centres actually marry where the ROCU centres are. But for the purposes of what are the cyber resilience centres and what does it mean to students, these cyber resilience centres have been spun up, and we have set up 8 now of the 10, and our intention is to launch all 10 by March. And these centres are there to provide advice to business, but one of the critical pieces in all of this is we're also there to provide services to business. So the vast number of businesses out there, especially micro businesses and the smaller businesses, don't know where to go and get impartial advice. They don't know where to start. They don't know what they don't know. They don't understand risk. They don't understand cyber. They're business people. A lot of them are owner operated, and they're real drivers and they're real concerns around how do I continue to make my business successful. And they're less, and so when they get involved in cyber, it's because of something has happened and they're responding to that. And we want to be there and offer them advice so that we can preempt it. So how do we do that? Because at the moment, what would happen is there are many cybersecurity firms throughout the UK of all sizes, enterprise firms, small niche firms, and they're there to provide services. But more often than not, the services that they provide are at a price point that it's too expensive for smaller businesses. So we needed to be able to offer something that is at a much lower price point and that we can deliver a collection of 8 services. Now, the services are available on BRIM Centre's website, but in essence, it's like web app testing, it's security audits of infrastructure, it's security awareness training, it's policy review. So it involves a collection of very distinct 8 services. And the intention of what we're trying to do here is to give these businesses an understanding of cyber. So we spend all our time offering these businesses membership. We go and speak with them. We take them on that cyber journey. And we say to them, look, let us better understand the risks that you face as an organization. And in doing so, we can help you with that. We can give you that understanding by offering you a number of service catalog of these 8 services. And there's some real interest in that. So how do we deliver that service? Now, this model already works in Scotland. There is the Scottish Business Resilience Centre that's been running Scotland for many years now, and it uses exactly the same model. And how we deliver the services is we go to academia and we partner with universities. And we say to the universities, if we can get the opportunity like this to present to your students, then we can ask if they would be interested in being part of what we're doing, to sign up to the programme and being students who help us deliver the service. So what does that mean for students like yourselves? If you sign up for the programme and you become part of delivery, you're working with law enforcement. You're also working with private sector. You're getting the opportunity, while still in full-time education, to actually work on real-world projects and help businesses. And you get paid for it. So for all of the time you spend, you're paid by the centre in the delivery of those services. So it's absolutely paid work. It's exposure to private sector so that you see what it's like at the coalface, working in very different organisations and getting a real sense of how different businesses face challenges and how you can bring technology and skills and expertise in these services to bear to help them. What's also vitally important to us is there a continuous development piece too. So the team that manages student services is myself, and I've been doing this now for 20 years, and I've tested everything from all over the world. And I like to bring that expertise to help those that are just coming into this as a career, because I know the old stuff. And then you guys are absolutely at the forefront, and then how can we learn from each other? One of my colleagues was a senior advisor to Cabinet Office on cyber, was a Czech tester, and has incredible experience in this too. And he's there to help with the continuous development. And we now have 2 leads who have just joined us from private sector, who have went through their MSc, and they're there to support. So we're offering continuous learnings beyond what you're doing and studying just now. And what we're working on just now, which I think will be a significant changer, is providing training opportunity to allow you to get credits towards CREST certification. So if you have a certification in mind, then you have the opportunity to the continuous study, delivering the work, exposure to law enforcement, exposure to private sector, and to be paid for your time, but also for that continuous development above and beyond within areas of interest that absolutely interest you. So we want to take you on that continuous development. Now, I want to take you to the next piece of this, and that is that we're in the process of launching a national organisation to represent all of these centres. And that national organisation is being created out of demand from large multinational private sector organisations and public sector organisations. So when we started this initiative, and we have these 10 centres. Then big business came knocking on the door, and that was big business across the likes of banking, defence, tech sector, and their interests were born from various different areas. For banking, for example, they see all these SME businesses that we're protecting as their clients, so therefore they have a vested interest. For those in defence and manufacturing, they've seen these organisations as be part of their supply chain, so they were dependent on it. And business came to us and said, we want to be involved in this, but we want to work across all the centres. And one of the key areas that we're absolutely interested in is working with what we call our student pipeline. So this is the collection of students that join the programme, because at the end of your studies, if you've been part of this programme and you reach the end of your studies and you graduate, what happens next? And even now, when discussions with those that have just graduated, they say, well, what do I do now? I've got to go through and try and identify an opportunity, and then I've got trying to differentiate myself from all the other students that have graduated across all the universities within the year. How do I do that? But being part of this programme may give you that extra edge. And one of the key things that's absolutely come across from private sector big business is they've said, is there an opportunity here for the students that have been part of this programme that once they finish academia, could they potentially then move on and second for a year or two within law enforcement? So work within public sector and get the evidentiary side of this, the criminality to it, and understand it from that position. Or potentially just go straight into private sector, because what we're trying to do here is connect law enforcement, academia, and big business to the benefit of the students who come through the programme, but more so to all of the regional businesses throughout England and Wales. Now, this has been incredibly successful in Scotland, so much so that when students joined a programme in Scotland, and then after they had finished their studies, they all without question left what they had been doing, graduated, and took up opportunities within the likes of the big tech companies. Name a tech company, we've had somebody go there from Scotland. And one of the chaps who benefited from this programme in Scotland was a chap called Kyle, and he was meant to be talking here today, and I've taken his place. And Kyle had went to Abertay University. He had done his studies. He'd attended a presentation like this, and during the presentation, he decided that he wanted to be part of it, so that he applied. And applying, he became part of the programme and got continuous development. He got access to deliver work and everything that the programme offers. And at the end of this, he went and worked with GCHQ. He got an opportunity to go straight into GCHQ. And he spent a couple of years, absolutely fascinating working within GCHQ. And he was over in the States working for some of the other Five Eyes, and incredible experience for him. And while being at GCHQ, despite being in the absolute thick of it, when he was given the opportunity to come and join BRIM to start to build this so that England and Wales had a similar programme, he jumped at the chance. So I'm very much picking up where he took off, as in Kyle's, in the example of Kyle, then big business came knocking on the door, and he's now got a very high profile role within a big private sector organisation and is off doing that. But the reason I share that, he is absolutely one of the success stories that went through the programme and really benefited from it. So what we're asking, or what we're inviting those who are interested to do, to become part of, or to even just learn more, is if you send an email to talent@brimcentre.com, and in that email, if you just include a covering letter and a CV about why you would want to be part of the programme, it's just to give us a sense of who you are and the kind of stuff that you're working on and what your interests are and your studies and what you hope to do once you leave academia. If you can capture all that, and there's no right or wrong answer, it's the essence of you. If you send that in an email, and then you can become part of our process. And it's just the next step after that is very much a straightforward interview, and to give you as a chance to learn about you and for you to ask more questions and to really get a sense of what we're trying to do here. And then ultimately, depending on where you're located, you would become one of the students for that centre and part of the wider student team. And what we're trying to do is have 100 students throughout England and Wales. And Wales is very much our focus just now because that's one of our latest centres. And then once you become part of that, then you'll become part of the team that delivering work. And the work is incredibly diverse. So it's not just web app testing, it's not just security auditing. There is online investigations on high profile individuals. There's corporate investigations. So if you're into your open source intelligence gathering and that interests you, we offer those as a service. And there's a lot of interest in that. But there's also the very technical stuff. We're delivering off a platform offered to us across Amazon and Google. We've got relationships with some of the big tech security companies to get their skills to bear and to get access to their tech. And there's a lot of big private sector tech firms who are coming to us and saying, can we help? Can we offer training? Can we offer labs? Can we offer technology? How do we become part of this? Because fundamentally what this is about is the greater public good. It's about working with policing to improve the security of businesses within the UK, because all of these businesses are in essence part of the critical national infrastructure. So if we can protect some of these businesses, then that's a great day at work for us. And that's very much what we're trying to do. Our partnerships in this programme are also critical. And NCSE, we have a relationship, the centres have a relationship with NCSE via, you'll see down on the website there, NPCC, the National Police Chiefs Council, also with NCSE, Home Office, and various different government departments, all of whom are incredibly vested in what we're doing here and really keen to see the success of it. Because fundamentally, these centres have been created with the absolute focus of being able to reach all of the businesses. Because I've been doing this for a very long time, as I've said, and no matter how many businesses I go into, usually these businesses have suffered from some sort of security issue, or something has hit the press, or there's been a situation that's made them ask the questions. And it's the same question all the time. Okay, what do I need to do who do I speak to? Who can help me? And there's a concern that when they go to private sector, that private sector is immediately saying, well, we can help you and it's going to cost X. Because we're funded by Home Office, the centres are there to offer impartial advice. And they're there to say, look, here is what we would do. Here's where we can help you with student services. Here is where we can help you with guidance from the likes of NCSE. And one of the key parts for each of the centres is our trusted partners. And the trusted partners are prominent security businesses within the region who are helping businesses. So the way that this actually works is as students deliver work and then identify potential risk or have recommendation to these organisations that's beyond what we offer within the services, then we refer them to the trusted partners. And then one of the private sector businesses pick up the opportunity and convert it and help that client. So we provide the baseline and then tech firms take it from us and help them on that journey. And the reason I also share that is because there is a lot of interest from our trusted partners who in the main are all tech firms who are looking for the next tranche of technical expertise, of graduated students, of who can come and help them build their business. So they too are saying to us, we as organizations are looking to employ the next round of technical expertise, and they understand it, students, so they're not looking for people with 10 years private sector experience. But for those that are part of this program, it's been able to help small business, it's been able to learn further on from what you're learning within your own studies. It's to get paid for your time, which I think is very important, but it's also an opportunity to be part of something that involves policing, that involves private sector, and can hopefully help and differentiate you between those that have not had the opportunity to be part of a similar program. And the quality control on what we're doing with the delivery of the services is absolutely paramount. So what this is absolutely not is inviting people to be part of the program and then tasking you to do some work, and then you're presented with, you're out of your comfort zone. All of this is done in hand with myself and Paul, who have delivered this work for countless years and have that experience, to make sure that the little tranches of work that you're given, you have absolute reporting back opportunities. You're working with a team of people who actually understand, who completely understand this world from private sector delivery, and then that's all part of your continuous development too. So we're there to ensure the quality of the work, to make sure that the students that are delivering for us are supported. We're there at any point, we're there to review, we're there to help with part of the delivery, so that students are, if you hit some tasks or challenges and you want to bounce ideas off in the project you're working on, then not only are the other students there, but there are private sector experts there too, so that they can help you and make sure that the work that's delivered for the client is the best quality that we can. And if you have time, I think it's worthwhile having a look at the BRIM Centre website. I see it's up on the screen, and then look at the CRC network tab, and within there it talks about centres. And there is going to be a centre in Wales. It's just went live. It's in the process of spinning up, but it does exist. And the policing leads for that centre are in post. And we are now at the point where we're reaching out to universities within Wales, and it'll just be a select number of universities reaching out to students, giving them the opportunity to apply. And it very much is what we're looking for, those that just are really interested, want to learn, have a broad range of interests. So if you're not a web app person and you want to be your OSINT or whatever you're interested in, throw your hat in the ring, apply, come and talk to us. We're happy to give you feedback. We're happy to take you through the process. Hopefully you can become part of the team. Policing will do just a basic check on your good selves as part of the process, but that's just all part of the course and working in our line of work. And then hopefully you can be part of something that is absolutely making a difference and has really hit the radar for private sector business. For government, everybody in government's talking about it. When I started on this program, suddenly my mailbox is full of emails from all sorts of different government departments wanting to know what we're doing, really positive in what we're doing, and huge amount of enthusiasm for what we're doing. And also to work with policing and to really understand how the criminality side of this, I think, is a fantastic opportunity. So hopefully that's given everybody an overview. I believe that the email address has been shared. You can ping me an email. If you send to that address, I get the emails, but if you want to ping me an email and just ask any more questions, if you want to arrange a call, we can have a chat just one-to-one. If I'm on LinkedIn, for anybody who wants to reach out, come and say hello. If you want to throw your application in, then please do. At any point, if it's not for you, you can see this is not for me, absolutely no problem. But if I had this opportunity way back 400 years ago, whenever it was, I would absolutely have jumped at the chance. I think it's fantastic because, no matter what our educational journey looks like, this is one of the times where you're present, that could make a difference. That could stand out from others. And if there's only going to be 100 students a year, that makes a difference. So thank you for listening. More than happy to answer any questions, as long as they're not deep technical questions, not related to what I just spoke about. That's for the next two guys. Thank you.
Yeah, are there any questions for Alan? Stick them in the chat if you've got anything you'd like to know. But yeah, we'll give you a couple of minutes just to think of some. But yeah, if you have any questions for Alan, then just send him an email there to that address, talent@brimcentre.com. So one question: how should I title the email? So it's like a format that you're looking for.
No, comes to me. You can say hello. You can do what you like. Whatever takes your fancy.
Okay, Joe. So that'll go. The emails go straight to Alan himself. So yeah, any format. Is it fine if I'm only a first-year student?
Oh yeah.
Is it only for UK students? So is there a nationality requirement? So is there any like vetting that has that requirement in it?
So there's no requirement to hold any security clearance, because if we understand the protected marking within the UK, none of this is protectively marked. It's all very much private sector. So the only requirement to be part of the program is that you're currently attending a university to study a cyber-related course, and you have right to work in the UK. That's the only two caveats. You don't have to be a UK citizen.
And how many students will be taken on? So is there a certain quota per year and then sort of a maximum limit that you're looking for?
We are looking to take 100 on throughout a national. That number may increase depending on the amount of work that comes our way. So we may increase that number. We're looking to take on 15 initially within Wales across currently 3 universities.
Okay, and with on the topic of a cyber-related course, so is it looked at on sort of a case-by-case basis? So if somebody is studying maths or engineering, for example, but they're heavily sort of interested in cybery stuff sort of on the side, you know, maybe they've done some hack the box or they've done a sort of like a pen testing course or something like this, is that viewed as something that's favorable, or is that sort of a hard requirement that's done centrally that they have to be?
It's favourable. It's not a hard requirement. I studied COBOL and Pascal, which means absolutely nothing these days. It was quite fortunate in 1999 before the world fell apart for the year 2000, and it had value. But no, you're absolutely right. So some of the best security minds that I've ever had the privilege to work with came from either a physics, actually it was a physics and an engineering background from their studies. So we're really just trying to capture those that have a real desire to be in this industry and really want an opportunity to prove what they can do and to learn more, etc. And it very much is on a case-by-case basis. So if you have that interest and you're currently studying, then just say, this is what I'm studying, this is what interest, this is why I think I would be great as part of the programme, and throw your hat in the ring.
Yeah, that's great. So the leading factors then are really, you know, that level of interest and sort of the substantial, you know, how much stuff have you done, I guess, in your own time, sort of outside of the course, sort of demonstrate that genuine interest for the stuff that you might be doing.
Yeah, because I was completely self-taught. So all my stuff was, you know, I never studied it at university. Just looking at some of the other questions, how much time you contribute to this is entirely determined by yourselves. So the work is made available, and then we come to you and say there's an opportunity here. And then if you have studies or commitments, you say I can't be involved in that one. Let me know for the next. So there's no obligation on you to commit X amount of time. It's done on here is an opportunity for continuous development training. Would you like to be part of that? And you can say yea or nay. Here's an opportunity to deliver some work. Would you be right with that? Yea or nay? If you don't, it doesn't preclude you from further, because we understand that primary is everyday life and your studies. And this is something that it augments that. So there is no commitment expected other than you want to be part of the programme and you want the opportunity, because I'm sure that those that go through all of the effort to become part and then are provided with the opportunity, you're going to take it as and when it's convenient for you to do so. And we understand that.
That's great. And we'll just cover off the last one here from Alison. So how much technical experience are you looking for? So is there, so somebody who's just sort of interested in it, is that sufficient? Or are you looking for something that's like tangible? Are you looking for like a portfolio or some certifications or?
It's what I'm looking for is the desire to be part of this industry and really to learn more about the technology and become more involved. So where we differentiate people is that when you're at the point of actually going through the interview process and you get to do this little 10-minute presentation, it depends on how you come across there. I'm not looking for someone that has a huge amount of experience in all of the tool sets or has delivered all of these projects. I'm looking for someone with the right mindset, because for me, who's employed countless people within this industry, I always look for someone that had that little buzz of something different, that looked at a problem and looked at it in a different way from everyone else. And I know I'm running over time, but very quickly, the vast majority of the work that I did in security testing, more often than not, I was a social engineer. I didn't use any technology at all. I was gaining access to systems just by walking in and asking people for access. So there's a huge length and breadth of what the skills that we need to attract, but it's to identify individuals that absolutely have that interest and want to learn more. And if you put your application in, the worst that can happen is you'll get to speak to myself and my colleagues. We'll have a good chat. We'll give you some feedback. It might not be for you this year. It might be for next, but we'll tell you why. And then we can keep in touch and be part of it. It's not binary. You know, we want to be the cyber community. So, you know, keep in touch, join us on LinkedIn, join the mailing, keep in touch with all the guys. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you for your talk and for your answers to the questions, Alan. That's really appreciated. And again, if anybody wants to go over it, it's recorded, and his email address is in the chat there. But yeah, that was excellent. So thank you very much. So we've got Amy now from Crowdstrike. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen because I know that Amy's got some slides.
I will just share my screen now.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see it.
Nice. Perfect. And on that note as well, thinking about different areas that you can go into to get into cybersecurity, I actually studied ancient history at Cardiff University. So I don't think you can get any more different from that. So that gives you an idea of how diverse people's backgrounds are, but you can still get into cybersecurity. Yes, so yeah, just to introduce myself formally, so I am actually a university recruiter here at Crowdstrike. I've been in the business approximately coming up to a year now, and I work in the UK, and my job and role is to ultimately build out a European university recruiting program for the company. So just before I kind of go through in a bit more depth what we do and the detail around that, I thought I'd start with a video from our CEO for what they say before I go through in detail.
I'm George, CEO of Crowdstrike, a leading cybersecurity company. Organizations around the world have told us how frustrated they are with their security solutions, how difficult they are to install and keep updated, and how ineffective they are at stopping attacks. At Crowdstrike, we found a new way forward. We built a security platform powered by artificial intelligence and delivered from the cloud, protecting computers and servers against sophisticated data theft and ransomware. It's fast, easy to manage, and it actually works.
We're a high-profile team with a very high-profile brand. We take our security very seriously.
I don't need to be a cybersecurity expert. Having a company like Crowdstrike, knowing that we're protected.
Crowdstrike doesn't drop the technology and walk away. Crowdstrike is embedded within your organization. They understand the deployment, and they're watching your back. That's what technology is supposed to do for you.
Crowdstrike, headquartered in Sunnyvale, California, helping enterprise to small businesses stop breaches globally.
There we go. Okay, so thinking about that and thinking about the video and what Crowdstrike are. So approximately the company size today is 3,000 employees. We have over 20 offices. We started in 2011, IPO just over a year ago, and I've been building ever since. In terms of what we do and who we are, our mission as a company is to ultimately stop breaches. And what we are most notable and notified by is essentially being a software as a service company. You know, in terms of our EDR solution, so our endpoint detection remediation service is essentially around next generation antivirus solution. So this could be from anything from a small, medium business all the way through to your largest, you know, global enterprises that we work with. And we also offer a leading professional services team. So this is, you know, 24/7, whether it be red teaming, strategic advisory on your security, or it could also be helping with leading an investigation. And then in addition to this, to kind of really strengthen our platform and our services, we also have an internal intelligence team who are, you know, there to essentially analyze malware threats and continue to feed that information through so that we can learn from it. So thinking about, what is it that we see on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like? Who are we protecting our customers ultimately against? So I've put on here and essentially, looking at adversaries. So different locations, different things we're starting to see. This is ultimately, why we're here and what we do and what we're kind of protecting people against. So for example, we've got, North Korea, the silent Kalima. I'll kind of go into these names in a bit more detail as well. Government, military and financial. We've got Russia, Cozy Bear, Energetic Bear, oil and gas companies. So we essentially affiliate names to different adversaries that we see, and we can also share these sorts of patterns that we see emerging in terms of reasons why they do it, why they're doing it, and who they are. In more depth and detail around that. So we have, for example, nation state intrusion. So this can actually be anything from, South Korea, you can have Russia, different countries that we see in terms of those adversaries, and they can be targeting anything from, technology to governments to healthcare, all different industries. And the objectives we tend to see behind this and the motives are anything from theft of, technology theft, business process, all different things are the reasons why. Trade secrets is another one. Second to that, we have non-state actors. So this is Hacktivist, and essentially that is, whether it be someone because of a political or religious ideology or a social ideology, non-state adversaries, Dead-Eye Jackal, for example, and what they do and how they do it. And it's usually for that ideology reason. And the third one would be criminal actors. So what are criminal actors? It's for financial gain. So people that are, stealing information, or people that are targeting our customers for these different reasons. So, for example, shippers, reshippers, money laundering, all these different things, phishing kits, card printing, taking information such as this. And essentially, this is information, stolen accounts, credit cards, healthcare data, and all in that e-crime space. So how do we do it? How do we solve this, and what do we offer? So we are most and well known for, and it's broken down into 4 pieces, which is essentially our endpoint protection, our professional services, and our threat intelligence and managed hunting. So threat intel, all about that information, looking at malware analysis, breaking things down, seeing, reverse engineering, seeing how things start, how do they work, and seeing if we can get to the root cause of these different things and learning from it. Manage hunting, so more of that security operational space. Professional services around how we help customers, if they need help with an investigation or an incident, or proactive services to show them whether potentially have vulnerabilities within their current security posture today. And then again, our most known solution, which is our EDR solution that offers endpoint protection to customers, across different businesses and enterprise. So yeah, just as before, over 3,000 employees now, with over 20 offices globally. So getting lots and lots bigger year by year. Now thinking about the program of what we offer. So program wise, what does this mean for you? If you like the idea of Crowdstrike and what we're doing and who we are, how could you get involved in this as a university hire? So we actually offer an internship program opportunity. So this year is our first year, essentially, that we have built out from the US an internship program. So up until now, we had a wider team in the US and other countries such as Australia. But we started to build it out in Europe too. So we had over 10 interns this summer. And we're looking to have approximately up to 20 next summer. All internships will be a June or July start and approximately 12 weeks long, and they will all be full-time paid opportunities. You'll also, in addition to that, receive a holiday allowance, and also as a benefit and bonus, an opportunity to secure a graduate position with us as well. It will either be remote or in our offices. So we have an office in Reading and we have an office in London. However, given the COVID scenario this year, it was virtual, and we're still assessing the current situation for next year too. In terms of thinking about the culture of the company, you know, what's it like to work at Crowdstrike, in addition to the technology? Crowdstrike was, you know, seen and awarded as a best place in technology as a workplace, as well as best workplace for millennials. We have lots of different things, including a wellness program for Falcon Fit. We have lots of different events, and it's a really exciting place to work. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a VP, so a vice president, or you're a director at Crowdstrike, or you're an intern. You know, we've got a mentality that we're all one team, all in it together, and there's the opportunity there to kind of all ultimately work together to get the job done. You know, last year I had all of my interns reach out to VPs or, you know, people from our executive board, and they'd always make time for you, because we're all here to kind of get through it and make sure that you get, you know, get what you need to get your job done and to help you build your own career. On that, just to kind of extend on those internship benefits, you know, you'll get opportunities to work internationally with different interns across the globe. You'll have opportunities to part of internship competitions, you know, have swag, we have intern holiday pay, we have give back events, developmental workshops, stocked fridges if we are back in the offices. And then in addition to that, I think, you know, really the biggest things as well is the executive speaker series, where you get the opportunity to, you know, have Q&A and mentor and shadowing from our executives, as well as that opportunity to secure a graduate position. So if you do like your experience as an intern, that you have the time, you know, the opportunity to, you know, finish your remainder years, if you have some at university, and then return to us as a graduate within role. I just wanted to kind of finish before we go to questions on that with a video as well from our interns that I love, because it's word from them too about their own experience.
Do I sit? Am I sitting there? I study international relations with focus in security and Spanish at Tufts University.
I attend the University of Southern California.
My major is computer science.
The University of Michigan.
I'm a computer science master's student at UCLA.
Harvard Business School and Harvard Kennedy School of Government.
I already knew coming in that Crowdstrike was very culture oriented, but I didn't know how much until I started my internship there.
So one of the things that really stood out was the people.
You can reach out to anyone. You're like, hey, I got a question on this. They're like, hey, here's how you solve it.
With having that village instead of trying to do things alone, that's something that I see embodied every day and something that I benefit from, especially early on in my career.
It's the stuff they don't teach you in class. It's like the untold stuff that they want you to walk away with.
And I get to know all the full-time engineers, all the leaders. That's something that's super priceless.
It makes me happy on a day-to-day basis here, which that's not often in other internships that I woke up every single day looking forward to come to work, and I do here.
It's a great environment to be a part of.
The projects that I've been given are actually impactful, and that's something that you probably don't see in most internships.
My project was something that I pitched to my manager, and it's actually going to turn into a pretty useful tool for the company. I feel like the more work I put out and the more impact I have on the company, the more rewarding it is for me.
So I really increased my entire business acumen while at Crowdstrike, which has been really exciting.
It has that vibe where the work that you're doing is impacting people in a very meaningful way, more serious than I don't know, working at a social media company or something like that.
With Crowdstrike, we are here to protect the world. I'm a data science intern.
And I'm a professional services intern.
I'm a software engineering intern.
Intelligence analyst intern.
And I'm currently an SDR intern.
I'm a cloud engineering intern here at Crowdstrike.
Do I sit? Am I?
Okay. And just moving to my final slide then before we can go to Q&A. So in terms of those internship opportunities, We offer internships within specifically professional services, so incident response, or within red teaming. So if you like more of the pen testing side, if you like CTFs, if you like, hack the box, perhaps a red teaming internship. Again, with incident response, in terms of working with customers, a lot of communication, managing them in difficult situations and scienarios when there is an incident to lead, and essentially helping them, restore and recommendations in terms of their security posture. Data science, machine learning, we have a new internship with that this summer. So if you're more into that data science area, we have an incredible amount of detail and data that we essentially add into our Falcon platform, and that's all thanks to our data science internship and team and wider team. So you get the opportunity to be part of some projects there that have real impact, and actually saw the interns that we had this summer, some of the projects that they were working on actually got implemented into the technology and the platform, which is really amazing for them to see how their projects directly impacted their work. And then threat intelligence. So, we've got within specifically the team that essentially analyze state-sponsored cyber espionage, and it's all about kind of reverse engineering, malware analysis, kind of understanding how malware works, and then seeing if you can break it, what happens, and essentially writing up those reports and seeing how we can learn from it. So very different internship opportunities, but again, if you like that sort of area, if you're interested, recommend that you definitely find out more and apply. We are receiving applications now. I can send to you as well the link on how you can apply to these. And we will probably kick off interviews mid-December through to January. If you need any more information as well, I'm happy to share with you my contact details on it too. Great. Any questions on that?
Okay, that was really helpful. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, if you've got any questions for Amy about CrowdStrike, or perhaps some of the roles that are available there, just drop them in the chat and we can get them answered. But if not, have you got an email address that you just like to stick in the chat at all, Amy, just so that our attendees might be able to get in contact, just in case they can't think of any questions now. But yeah, that was a really useful presentation. Thank you. So with regards to these upcoming positions, are they known to be, are they like 100% remote at the moment, or are you looking at trying to sort of transition them back to the physical premises?
Great question. So with data science and threat intelligence, they are very open to them being remote and continuing. What I would definitely say is maybe once a week or so, if we are back in the office, it's not definitely it's not certain yet, but it would definitely be worthwhile maybe spending some time just to get to know the other interns, to make sure you have that similar experience. However, it's not compulsory. We had 100% of our interns that joined us this summer accept and receive graduate returning offers as well off the back of their internship, and they've actually all been remote and they still continue to work remotely, so it can be done.
And in terms of like the capacity for these vacancies, then are you looking to take on multiple students per vacancy, or is it one position per sort of role that you discussed?
So within professional services, we have a red team track, and we have a incident response track. So it would be one red team and one IR intern. There will be some, so how we set out your 12-week program over the summer is essentially there'll be like learning themes. So each week you'll have like a learning theme. However, the red team internship will be kind of more emphasized and around red teaming, and then IR will be a bit more focused around incident response. However, you'll definitely get a training on the job. You'll get the opportunity to shadow our consultants and see real life scenarios, as well as we kind of put all the information together, and then in your final couple of weeks, we actually you have an opportunity to actually present to our the leadership team, so presenting to some of the US in terms of what you've learned, and then in addition to that, you also get the opportunity to do like so our consultants basically pretend to be customers, and they see how you kind of deal and react with certain scenarios and test what you've learned. So yeah. there's 2 in professional services. We've got 1 data science internship in the UK, and then within threat intel we have up to 3.
Okay, that's great. Last one from me that I can just sort of think of, with regards to the locations of these sort of internships. So is there a set sort of office that these internships will be taking place in, or is there sort of flexibility to be placed? Is that a discussion? And would that position change sort of at graduation?
So there is flexibility with data science, and with threat intelligence, there's flexibility to like 100% work remotely. You know, you can occasionally need to come into the office, and I'd recommend it just to kind of meet people, but ultimately you can have that virtual opportunity. The only exception would be if we are going back into the office for the summer, then usually with professional services, we'd recommend this person is able to come in maybe 2 or 3 times a week into the London office.
Okay, brilliant. So I've just got a couple of questions, one from Joseph here. So would this be open to year 1 students as well, or would focus be given to those in higher years?
Yeah.
So year 1 students are also. Is there any sort of preference for other years, or is it just completely sort of on the merit of each individual?
So in terms of preferences, so professional services ideally are looking for people that are graduating around 2022. Data science, ideally looking for 2022, 2021 graduation. And then on top of that, threat intelligence a little bit more open. They consider 2022, 2021 graduation. For first years, I'd say definitely apply, because, you know, whilst it's not the preferred year of graduation, it will be great to kind of show your interest. You know, if you can apply with your CV, and then at the very least, we can keep in touch with you for next year.
Brilliant. So in terms of the recruitment process for this, do you look sort of favourably at certifications? So one of them that's been mentioned in here is GCIH, so incident handling certification. So do those sorts of professional certs carry much weight in the recruitment process?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. If you know, with this sort of thing, you know, I think ideally if you had a computer science degree, or if you're doing cybersecurity, it's amazing. But, you know, if you're doing anything like a certification, if you're doing capture the flag or hack the box sort of thing in your spare time, that is all equally really, really impressive. So, you know, we're looking for people with cyber interest, or, you know, studying a cyber related course, or, you know, computer science with those sort of certifications as well. And that general interest is exactly what we're looking for.
Okay, great. And the last one here then, in terms of visa sponsorship, so for non-EU students, what's the sort of stance with regards to sponsoring visas so that they can reside in UK over the long term?
So our one requirement would be again having that right to work in the UK if you're able to complete an internship. However, I am kind of looking into it to see if we can extend that. So watch the space, you know, whilst right now, you know, we're looking for people that do not require additional visa sponsorship. However, what we are looking into is how we can support that going further. It's been our first year of building up the university program, so we're still kind of ironing out and finalising those details to see how we can continue to grow it.
Okay, thank you. I've just got one more come through. So where is Crowdstrike based? So you mentioned London, right? That's the UK site. Yeah.
So we essentially, we're as San Francisco, so California is our head office. However, in the UK, we have our EMEA headquarters. That is based in Reading, so our larger office is in Reading. But then in addition to that, we also have a technical hub in London, which is close to Shoreditch. So we have those 2 offices in total.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, it looks like that's sort of the last few questions that I've got. But if anybody has any further questions, then amy.bird@crowdstrike.com is her email address. I'm sure she'll be happy to get back to you. So if you think of any after the session, then just get in touch. But yeah, if that's all we're going to cover with regards to CrowdStrike, that's brilliant. So Kyle, are you ready for your part?
Yeah, just give me one moment to set myself up.
No worries.
I'll be honest, I've not presented on Zoom for a while, so hopefully
that's fine.
this goes smooth. Okay.
Yeah, but thank you very much, Amy. That was brilliant.
No problem. I also put in the chat now as well some of the link to our careers page so you can see it further.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bear with me.
No worries at all.
Okay, can everyone see my screen? And is it the correct screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so today I'm going to be doing a presentation on Shodan, which I've called Watchdogs. And if anyone's played the game, I'm sure they know why. So just a bit of information about myself. My name is Kyle. I'm a third year at the National Software Academy, and I also work for a company called Amplify, but I'm not representing Amplify today. I'm representing myself. So one of the things you should know about me is I like to read the news, and I like to read the news quite a lot. But one of the things I've struggled with over the years is how do you pick out bias in the news? How do you tell if an image has been doctored? How do you monitor the world? And just before I proceed, I would just like to say that hacking IP cameras is illegal, so don't do it. And you can find a bit more information about that here. So there's this thing called the Internet of Things, and that literally translates to there are more and more devices connecting to the internet. Phones, kettles, Alexas, Siris, just, everyone's got a mobile phone these days. Not used to be 10 years ago that, not everyone had one, and your kids certainly didn't have a phone and a tablet. So over the time, we're seeing the amount of devices connected to the internet grow. And as mentioned, one of the problems is often these devices, particularly IoT cameras and IoT devices such as toasters, kettles, and anything in the house, aren't configured as well as they should be. And while companies have got better at doing this, they're still not exactly secure. So I'd like to introduce Shodan. Shodan is essentially a searchable database of devices connected to the internet. And as I say, you can use this to find IP web cameras. You can also do a bit more with it. You can use it to find cameras in a certain location. So when you use Shodan, at the top, there is a search box. You can see this search box there. I'm hoping everyone can see my mouse. What you can essentially do is you can put these docks or filters or operators into this box. And what that allows you to do is very carefully manipulate the results of your query. Now, the use of this for myself is looking around the world and seeing what situations are around the world. For example, there were protests recently in Thailand, and there were also protests in another European country. I can't remember the name of that right now, but how do you see live what's actually happening there? How do you determine if the news is biased, and how do you determine what's actually going on? Because you'll have one side that reports one story against the other side, and you have the other side that reports the conflicting story. You have the Western media and you have, the Eastern media supporting different countries. So how do you determine what is actually happening? So one of the little more unethical solutions to this is you could hack the IP cameras in this particular location. So here I've typed in HK Vision, which is a very popular camera manufacturer as well as camera software maker. And I've targeted Cardiff particularly. Now you can see some devices have come back, and these are web cameras that are reporting that they are HK Vision. They might not be, and sometimes you have to be careful what you type into this filter. You have to manipulate that more carefully. Another question you might have is how do you work out what the popular camera is for an area? So what you've got to be aware of is the markets of the countries you're targeting. So if you're looking at China, you want to be thinking Alibaba. If you're looking at Thailand, you want to be thinking where do Thai people buy their devices from? What markets do they use? So in the UK, it's Amazon for most people. It could be eBay, but chances are Amazon and eBay will sell the same devices, which HK Vision is a very popular one. It's not the only one, but it is one of the more popular ones. So you can see here, I've typed in HK Vision for Cardiff, and this has returned cameras for Cardiff. I can start filtering this out a bit more, because while they may report they are HK Vision cameras, they may not actually be accessible with that information. You might need the port. So 80.443, 8080, and 8443, these are all ports that cameras use to give you a web page in which you can view the camera. And just for clarity, the reason I'm not showing you this is because I'm technically in a bit of a gray area of the law. But I'll show you that we can use Shodan to find actual cameras out there. And this, as I was saying earlier, it's not just HK Vision, there's also the software you have to think about. So there is the hardware and there's software. So you can use both of these keywords to sort of target these web cameras. And you'd sort of accumulate that information using the markets, so Amazon, Alibaba, as mentioned. So this camera has been picked up, and it's either night or there's something faulty with the camera. But here's an actual live one, which has been picked up in London a while ago. You can see this is what the camera is actually displaying right now. There's one thing you should be aware of. It's while this is what the camera is displaying, this is kind of like a snapshot. This is what Shodan has seen just as it was capturing that information. So if you wanted to see a live preview, you would actually have to go and click on that camera to see it live. Otherwise, you're seeing a snapshot of it. So once you've identified the camera, you can essentially then actually start to hack into these cameras. And this is what gets most people. It's been said for years, most people still do not change the default usernames and passwords. And it used to be really bad in Wi-Fi routers, and then Virgin started putting random passwords in, so people weren't vulnerable to these sorts of attacks. But unfortunately, this is still commonly done with these sorts of devices. So you'll get a default and you'll get a password. And these are very easy to find online. This website I've got down here lists quite a few of them. But if, for example, a new camera has come out and you can't find it, what you can do is you can see if you can find the instructional manual, and then you can use that to work out what the password is. Because it may not be in a website. You may be one of the first people that look for that default username and password for that camera. So you may have to do some work. So just before I close for questions, I'd just like you to see some of the other uses of Shodan. So I've used this sort of edge case here. You know, someone's running a Minecraft server in Bath, but for some reason you might want their IP address. So this is something that Shodan lets you do quite easily. Is you can, for example, you can type in city Bath and you can type in the port you want. And I've just noticed there's American results. So what I can do is I can filter those out. Thank you. And now I should only get results back for the United Kingdom. And here I can see all of the Minecraft servers that have been picked up in Bath. And this is quite useful for identifying people, particularly if you know they're running something. So your friend Joe is running a Minecraft server in a small town. You can sort of use this to target him. And the worrying thing about this is actually hosts like Virgin, they actually give away your customer number in your domain name. So you can actually work out the customer number as well. But I think the point I'm trying to bring up, Shodan, is the amount of devices is growing and growing and growing. And should we necessarily be able to see everything out there? And that's really what I like to finish. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, so are there any questions about Shodan in terms of how it works, or in terms of how devices get on there, or yeah, Kyle, would you be able to cover that one, sort of how devices get added to Shodan?
So when you set up a device through your router, imagine you've bought a web camera off Amazon. You'll get it in a box and it'll give you a little instructional manual. And normally in this manual, they'll say, hey, if you want to view this from anywhere, do this in your router. But what is not very good about this, they haven't actually explained the vulnerabilities of what you've just done. You've just gone, oh yeah, I've configured my router, now I can see it from anywhere. But you don't understand the real world problems that could arise. So you don't know that anyone is now able to find that camera. So really what's happened is you've just let your router let anyone talk to that camera. So the way you really avoid that is to set up your firewalls correctly, or just make sure that you drop packets. Because with firewalls, they can either drop the packet or they can say, oh, some message, hey, you're not authorized to do this. So really, I would drop packets that try to go to those. Or you could use another methodology like port knocking, where, hey, I've sent this, okay, open this port and let me view the traffic. It's really about ensuring that your router is correctly configured, or has some level of security. Hey, this MAC address wants this camera, let this one through. And that's essentially it, is making sure that your router is correctly configured with a firewall.
And in terms of sort of the leading IoT devices, so Alexas, Google Homes, and all of these sort of virtual assistants or assistants, as it were,
yeah.
How secure would you say that they are?
Well, they're better than they definitely were when they first come out. I think everybody saw, somebody so-and-so hacks some Alexa. And I think even Amazon now, they have their own protocol for Wi-Fi. I was reading about this the other day. So they are trying to deal with it. But the problem we have is these devices are secure for now, but nothing is secure forever. And I'm kind of in the mentality now that, okay, I've tried to keep everything as secure as I can keep it for now, but I know one day someone's going to mess up somewhere and my data is going to be vulnerable. So nothing is secure indefinitely. Everything will get hacked eventually. So all you can do is try to keep up to date with the advice that's out there, really.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Do you have an Alexa or anything similar? So do you personally trust them?
No, I don't. To be honest, it's not because I don't trust them. It's more so that I don't find them useful myself.
That's fair.
Maybe that's because I'm always on my laptop, I'm always on my phone, and maybe it's my strong Welsh accent as well. The things can never understand me, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah, I know I have to repeat myself loads of times.
Yeah.
But it learns, doesn't it? It sort of transmit your voice to the server so that it can sort of learn your voice, and you can turn that off in the privacy settings.
Yeah, but that's another point with these sort of home speakers. If you've got an Alibaba speaker in China, do you really trust that government won't use it against you? In fact, do you trust that our government wouldn't use it against you? So there is a level of trust that you trust these companies to have over your data.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, with our smartphones as well, though. With the permissions that we're granting to the apps that we're downloading, it's like you have to have that level of trust. Do you trust Facebook, Google with access to your microphone? Are they going to do anything untoward with it? But it's a condition of using the app, isn't it? So
yeah, and as I was demonstrating with Shodan, if one day a vulnerability comes out and all I have to do is write some script, Shodan has an API that you can script against for something like Python. And all I need to do with Python then is execute that specific vulnerability. I've identified my targets. So I'm going to target all of Thailand, all of the cameras with this exploit. Suddenly I've got access to the entire country. Well, maybe not all of the cameras, but all the cameras that are vulnerable to that vulnerability. And even worse than that, if I wanted to, I could make them my own botnet.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of stuff that we need to be considering with it. But yeah, that was a really insightful sort of introduction to Shodan. As I say, obviously don't get carried away with things like Shodan because it is in that legal grey area. So by all means, sort of have a look at it and maybe use it for your own research. But yeah, it is in that legal grey area, isn't it, Carl? So that's what you were mentioning.
It's a brilliant place for acquiring a hit list.
Definitely. But don't actually hack into anybody's camera because that is the line that you don't overstep. But yeah, are there any other questions for Kyle just before we sort of wrap up? No. Well, that's absolutely fine. Feel free to send them a message if anything does come up. But yeah, it's been great to sort of have everybody attend for our first Spotlight event. We'll be running another one sort of mid-December. That one will be about research. We'll be having some PhD researchers and a couple of professors from the university come in to talk about the merits of PhD research and sort of staying on to study a little bit more after your undergraduate. So we'll communicate the details of that in the coming days. And then to sort of finish off the semester, we'll have a session on blockchain. So we'll have a blockchain sort of workshop that'll take place on the very last Friday of the semester. So keep an eye out for all of that. We'll send the details over as and when we've got them. So yeah, keep an eye on your emails. But it's been great to have you all. Really good engagement as well with the questions. So thank you for that. George, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Not off the top of my head, but a quick update with the hoodies for people, if this is getting recorded, if people want to watch it, or if there's anyone in the chat that's interested. The company's been having a lot of issues due to COVID, like family members getting ill. But I think it's all starting to go back on track now, and realistically we'll have them out probably for January. What's our next event coming up that we can plug?
The next one I believe is going to be actually Spotlight December. Because of Christmas we've ended up putting them together. But yeah, the next one is the research one. So it's focused on sort of demystifying PhDs and research. So yeah. And also you recently released your podcast, didn't you? So do you want to just sort of
Oh yeah, what about the vegetable? I'll get to that as well. Yeah, so me and Alfie have recently released a podcast called the CyberSoc podcast. There we kind of talk about everything employability. And a little bit about, what it's like to be doing a STEM subject at university, like highs and lows and things like that. But this week we've got AstraZeneca coming on the podcast. You may have, watched their speech that they did for CyberSoc, but this will be like more in detailed kind of Q&A about specifically their employability scheme. So hopefully that will be going up this Sunday. We're recording it on Thursday. The virtual pop quiz sadly had to be postponed for a myriad of reasons, but we're going to try and make it like a Christmas one, maybe next month, because I do have the questions. It is ready to go. So yeah, we'll make it a bit Christmassy, a bit more fun, and we'll still have all of those prizes up for grabs. So just keep an eye out for that. I am sorry that got postponed, but as everybody probably knows, it's a very busy 2 or 3 weeks right now. Coursework's mental, and we've got loads of exams and things like that. So I think it's probably a good idea that we had a little breather last week. But yeah, I will apologize for that. But keep an eye out for the CyberSoc podcast. I'm going to post a link in the chat now. We have 2 already up. One about enhancing your CV, which would be really helpful if you want to apply to any of the companies you've just heard speak. And then just like a quick introduction one, which is literally 1 second. But the AstraZeneca one will be great. And I think I'm going to try and reach out to more people that have spoken at during these kind of events. And I feel like the general idea of it is we'll have people on, to talk about their company, and then we'll have a more in detail Q&A for the podcast afterwards. I don't know if this is going to work, this link, but there we go.
Yeah, and if anybody would like to get involved in sort of giving a spotlight talk, if or if you want to go onto the podcast, if you've got something that you're interested in or something you would like to just talk about, it looks really good on your sort of CV and portfolio as well. In terms of building up your confidence and public speaking experience. Jump at the chance because we take 3 to 5 speakers every month for spotlight. If you've got something that you want to do next month or maybe January or later into next semester, have a think, see if you can come up with a topic and then put yourself forward for either spotlight or podcasts, and we can get you involved. And then when you're asked about what have you actually sort of done to sort of show your interest in whatever it may be, then you can refer to the time that you're on the spotlight or you're on the podcast, and it just looks really good. And also it actually genuinely builds up your skills and your confidence as well. So have a think.
Yeah. You'll have something tangible on your CV. You can link to the podcast. I put my email in the chat. So if you want to email me with any ideas, even if it's just to be like a special guest, like you don't have to have specifically something you want to talk about. You can kind of just put your 2 cents in whatever we're talking about that week. So yeah, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, thank you everyone for attending. I think that pretty much covers everything off. Have a look at the podcast. The link is in the description there. But yeah, feel free to get in touch if you would like to get more involved with any of it, because we'd really like to have people on board to do that. But yeah, if there's any other questions, feel free to drop them in. But if not, then you are free to go.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
You're just chucking people into the waiting room.
Yeah. Okay, that was good. It went well. It was a success for the first one. So yeah, went without a hitch, I think. So Carl, your talk was good. So well done.
Definitely places I can improve, but I think
no, it was good. It was succinct. It was concise. You got across what you needed to. It was interesting. So yeah, it was great.
Thanks.
I'll just stop the recording now. So yeah, we'll share the recording with everybody on via our YouTube channel.